Hey there, I'm Curly, and welcome to Unfiltered and Undiscovered, the podcast where three music lifers dig into the songs, the stories, and the legends of music that may not have crossed your radar yet. But if you're new here, let me set the scene. I'm the punter, the guy who swears that the best music, the best Australian independent music, was in 1986. I've got the record collection to prove it. Now, joining me each week, I've got Braggy. He's a lifelong muso, a dreamer that's still waiting for that one song of his to go viral. He knows his stuff and he loves digging into lyrics. And of course, we've got Rossy. Rossy, the roadie, the manager, and the guy with a story about every band that's ever plugged into a pub PA system anywhere from Perth to Parramatta. Together, we get unfiltered with the best undiscovered artists across Australia and occasionally the world. And occasionally, we also talk a whole lot of rubbish around artists that we already love. Let's get into it.
Hey y'all, I'm Alison Asarch from Nashville, Tennessee.
Hey, I'm Sean Fraser from the Ritzy Kids Hunters.
This is Johnny from Rail Motor.
Hey, it's Shane from Blind Season.
Hey, it's Rob Stanier, and you can check out my music on all the streaming platforms.
Check out my latest music on all the streaming sites.
Check out my debut album on all streaming platforms.
Check out our new debut album.
Check us out on Spotify and Apple Music. And you're listening to our friends, Braggy and Curly.
My favorite bands from Australia.
You're listening to our friends, Braggy, Rossy, and Curly
on the Unfiltered and Undiscovered podcast.
All right. Hey there, everyone. It's Curly here, and welcome to episode 221 of the Unfiltered and Undiscovered podcast. We are three old blokes, one obsession, music that matters. Unfiltered chats, undiscovered artists. Every week on the pod, it's guitars, grit, and the good stuff that you're not going to hear on mainstream radio. This is Unfiltered and Undiscovered, and whether you're listening or watching, wherever you are, please hit that like and subscribe button and share it with someone that needs some new music in their lives. I'm joined tonight, of course, we've got Braggy in Adelaide. We've got Rossy in the rock capital of the world, Sydney. Ooh. And once again, we've got our special guest, Big Stu, our country music correspondent. So, how are we?
Like a westbound train, dust on his boots, stories in his brain. He's got a voice like gravel, rough and low, knows the roads where the wild winds blow. He's seen it all, from the highs to the pain, every bar, every back row lane. Big Stu, tell me what you've seen. The whiskey nights, the faded dreams, a heart that's open, raw and true. Country music lives in you, Big Stu.
How are we? Braggy, what's been going on in the rapidly, maybe the close runner-up to rock music capital city of the world in Adelaide, based on what we're seeing coming out of there?
Well, yeah, I mean, we'll have to judge by the end of the year because we're going to get a few bands from here. I feel like you've cracked the market there, Curly. Nothing much has been happening. I've watched a bit of the Grammy. I didn't watch it all. I watched a bit of the Grammys just to see what was going on. I think I'm more interested in the fashion these days than I am in the music. But fashion's pretty cool. It's quite innovative and out there. But the most important thing in my world is that I've got my Red Legs membership today, and so can't wait for that. We've got a new women's coach. I reckon we're going to take out the men and the women. I'm even thinking about going and getting the tattoo 2026 premieres. That's how confident I am.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah, pretty cool. Think about that. Yeah, if they don't win, I just cross it out. It'd be still cool.
And then 27, cross out. Then 28, cross out.
Yeah. Let's hope they're not like freaking Richmond or someone. For 100 years.
Rossy,
now, what about you, Rossy?
Well, look, I'm glad that Braggy mentioned that Adelaide is the rock and roll capital of the world, because I've got a story, a big breaking story about one of Adelaide's finest bands, the Mark of Cain.
Okay.
Their lead singer, who yesterday announced that John Scott is now Josie and that he's trans. And he's had gender dysphoria for most of his life. and he's happy being who he is. And the hard rock and metal community have swept in around him and offered him a big deal of support. But of all bands, that is one I never saw coming. It was never on my dance card. The Mark of Cain, I've been to see them with Shona, my wife. She's been just about the only woman in the place. It is the most masculine rock band I have ever heard. But that's what happened, and it's quite an amazing story.
Wasn't the singer from Judas Priest? He was gay, wasn't he?
Yeah, very, very gay. Yeah,
and that's like the first metal band.
But when you saw him, now you know that, and you look at him in his leather gear, you go,
yeah.
It's a bit like, you mean Freddie Mercury was gay?
Yeah, but that's I was young and naive in those days. I didn't know. I didn't even think Elton John was gay. Yeah, when I was 10 years old.
But yeah, the two brothers in the Mark of Cain, there's two brothers. There's Kim and John Scott, and they played with the Turnbuckles over the years and all that sort of stuff. One of Adelaide's biggest bands, Henry Rollins, produced them, and I just did not see it coming. And it's a very big breaking story this week.
Are they still doing gigs?
Yeah, they are.
Oh,
I think they're going to go out on tour with Regurgitator in a few weeks.
I love it.
But I love Mark of Cain. That's a pretty dark rock and roll band, and darker now than I ever realised.
Get Adelaide band and Brisbane band together. It's trouble.
Yeah, that is so interesting. So, what age are we talking about?
He's about my age. He's about my age.
Wow.
Late 50s, early. Yeah, he's a young fella. That's right. I think there could be a 5, maybe a 6 in front of his.
Oh, whoosh now.
So he spent his entire life battling it, apparently. Yeah. Wow. So, like, I always find that kind of, when these sort of things happen, it makes me kind of a bit sad that people have to live their life battling that internally for their entire life.
The world's moved forward a little bit, you know?
Well, it has.
Yeah, it takes a long time for it to happen, but it's good.
I can tell you, no judgment, but I never saw that coming.
Yeah.
Well, and sometimes you just don't. Stewie, what's been happening in your world?
Not much. I suppose the big thing for me is I actually retired at Christmas, so I'm no longer working. So so I'm a man of leisure. So Carol and I have been out and about a fair bit. So we ventured down to New South Wales last week. Spent the weekend with mates down in Tenterfield, organising a 3-month trip around Australia starting in June. So we're out and about.
What sort of vehicle? What sort of vehicle are you taking?
Sorry, van call.
What sort of vehicle? What are you taking with you? A van call?
I got a camper van. So we'll be the 4 of us, 2 couples, starting in Brisbane, going up through Queensland, up through Northern Territory, through the Kimberley, doing the horizontal falls, then right down WA around the bottom, then back through Adelaide, and then back up through central New South Wales, Victoria, and back home in the end of August.
Jesus,
so I better get my planning at the moment.
I better get the wine and beer cold.
We're going plus plenty of winery, so I'll just drink it as we go.
Yeah. So he might have to do a big stew on the road session or something. I don't know. So
I think he might be able to find us some talent while he's out there.
Yeah. Give me some cards. I'll see what I can do.
Especially up around the Kimberley.
Yeah.
There's a lot up there, isn't there?
Yeah, there is, and we've talked to quite a number of them. So today is Wednesday, of course, for us, and this episode comes out Friday. But I put out our social media post around our second person in the Hall of Fame for the Unfiltered and Undiscovered, and it was our good friend Katie Brooke. So, and she's reached out and said it's so wonderful, friendship, the support from the Unfiltered and Undiscovered. It was such a nice post. So, shout out to Katie Brooke once again. I think I've done more shout outs to Katie.
I'm so happy you found the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Well, we do have a guest on tonight, and we're just sort of talking until he pops in. But it's Brendan's second. We're talking to Brendan Radford, of course, the Golden Guitar winner from Tamworth just a week or so ago, and it's his second visit on the show, so he'll be inducted into the Hall of Fame as well. So, but I do have
the nominees come out every week. Is that right? For the Hall of Fame?
I've got 20 people in there now, and there'll be they're already in there. I just release and promote it every week. So
it's as big as the Psychotic Turnbuckles Hall of Fame.
Yeah. How many's in that, Rossy?
I'm not sure. They just every time the Turnbuckles play a show, the lead singer brings people up and gives them a ring, and he kisses all the girls. I find it a bit unusual, but that's gives the girl a kiss, gives them a ring. In Japan, he was saying, "You are now my wife." And these girls, the bemused look on their face, it was incredible.
Still haven't got my belt, Rossy, so just remember that. Couple of bits of news. I know we're now getting a lot of artists now popping their info onto our email, letting us know when their releases are coming out. The big one for us at the moment, one of our most recent episodes, voted the greatest band ever to be on the Unfiltered and Undiscovered podcast by Ruby, is Wolf Whistle Wounds, and they're released today for Wolf Whistle Wounds Wednesday. Called their new single, of course, is called
Imposter
Syndrome. So, once again, it's different from their first release, and it's quite interesting. But I think we're going to see. I don't think we're going to see much consistency with the I don't know, wounds. Can we shorten that?
The wounds, yeah, the wounds.
Yeah, the wounds.
The WWWs.
So, and to be honest, I'm sort of looking forward to Wolf Whistle Wednesday every month and start to get a real understanding of what they're putting out. Another band that's been on before, Copperline. I think Braggy, you really enjoyed that chat.
Yeah,
They've got a new single out called "Method to My Madness." So, if you want to hear some new music, "Method to My Madness" by Copperline. Jack Davies, another Jules has sent through. We'll be having a chat to Jack very soon, but he's got a new song out called "Working on Me," which is something all us blokes tend to do quite a lot, isn't it? We deep introversion and start working on ourselves. The interesting one, and I haven't mentioned this before, but Tori Dark was awesome with some of the shows she put on at Tamworth this year, and she's playing at CMC, which is another huge kudo to her. But she's got a song called "Build Me a Man," and it was actually, Rossy, how Boxcard, what they did with Mick McGew and Ursula. They've turned "Build Me a Man" into a dance track, and it's charting in the top 10 dance tracks around the nation. So
that's cool.
So that's something a little bit interesting. A country artist really sort of being tuned into the dance scene. So I think that's pretty cool, to be honest. So
yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I was just noticing that our mate Robbie Mortimer's doing CMC Rocks this year as well.
Yeah, and Tyler Rodriguez is going over there too. She's on Robbie's on the main stage.
Ooh.
So
wow,
he's a bit of a goer, Robbie, I think. He goes
you see, well, both him and James seem such authentic blokes, right? So
yeah, and they like New South Wales.
Yeah, of course, with a name like Mortimer.
Yeah.
One thing that Robbie did during Tamworth, but is they were doing some independent interviewing of some kids down Peel Street, and I think I've forgotten the lady that was in. She's quite well known, but in the country scene, she's quite well known. And this little girl said, she was asked, "What's your favourite song?" And she said, "Blow Up the Speakers" by Robbie Mortimer. So it was so cool seeing this like 9-year-old saying Robbie's song, and then Robbie's gone out on a mission to find her and the family and to give him some merch. I think he gave her a stubby cooler, so I'm not quite sure.
He doesn't have the
And a Coke.
Yeah.
Put a Coke in.
Let's see what we've got in the car. Hey, now before we sort of just pad this out a little bit, Braggy, you were talking about the Grammys, and you mentioned the Ozzy Osbourne tribute.
Yeah.
Which brought a bit of discussion there from Rossy underneath. Now I haven't seen it, and so I don't know what it's about.
Well, when I saw it, I don't know the other guy that Rossy was talking about. I just saw Post Malone. I kind of like Post Malone, and I just thought he did a real good job of singing, doing the tribute. And they had what's his face from the Chili Peppers on the drums?
Chad
Smith. Yeah, Chad Smith. So yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, I first heard Paranoid in 1970. I love Black Sabbath. They're kind of, even though Youngblood says they were his North Star, I assure you it was my North Star. I I remember on Tuesday afternoons when I was in 4th grade, you used to be able to bring a record in to play every Tuesday afternoon, and I'd always turn up every week. And I remember the day I took Master of Reality in, and the teacher played one track, last about a minute and a half. But a couple of kids, couple of blokes in the room, and one of them who I ended up going and see Rainbow with about 6 years later got it, right? Yeah. Black Sabbath, like I can't see any Black Sabbath in Post Malone or in Chad Smith. The American they're English. Yeah, they're an English band, but surely you'd invite Geezer Butler or Tony Iommi or even Bill Ward in to play, you know.
Are they still okay, those boys? Are they still okay?
Yeah, they're all very well. Geezer and Tony, they only gave up because Ozzy was so quick.
Yeah, okay. My brother had that had the album as well. I had Paranoid. With the
the samurai guy. Yeah, Iron Man.
Yeah, the samurai guy, Iron Man, and Rat Salad, and that was and it was funny because he'd go away for basketball and I'd go down in his room and just pull out all the records, start playing. It was like Beatles. Then it was like Deep Purple, Black Sabbath. You know, so I had the best of both worlds.
My older brother brought home the first 2 Black Sabbath albums. I love the first one, the opening with the church bells and the rain and all that stuff. The second one I liked a bit. I thought, they're pretty good. The third album came out. My brother just would not cop it. He's older than me. He hated it. And I just went, this may be the best record I've ever heard in my life. And I still reckon it is.
So I don't know what sort of a segue this is, but we've just got Brendan Radford joining us. How are you, Brendan? We were just talking Black Sabbath of all things.
Yeah, good, mate. Have you done any Black Sabbath covers recently, Brendan?
Not recently, no. That would take me back to my school days.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's what we were just talking about. Yeah.
All right. So let me just do a quick intro. This week on Unfiltered Undiscovered, we're joined by Brendan Radford, a true torchbearer for Australian country and bush ballad storytelling, known for his rich voice, honest songwriting, and a deep respect for tradition. He blends classic Aussie country with lived experience, humour, and heart. So welcome to the show, and congratulations on your golden guitar for traditional country album.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, well done.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
they're not easy to win those things.
No. So you got that since you were last on, Brendan. There's a new album started all over again from last year, and you got a new single out. I just noticed today, Something of a Privilege, which obviously is about John Williamson. And obviously you would have backed him a bit. But I'm interested to know about what goes into setting up and being ready to be the backing band at Tamworth.
Oh, for the awards?
For the awards, because I mean... Well, there were two.
Yeah. It starts pretty early. It starts in December. And the musical ideas start to get thrown back and forth between the producer and the executive producer and myself, and then there's a whole bunch of liaison with artists, and of course that all happens over Christmas, New Year, and no one's around, and it's actually pretty challenging. But we managed to pull it together. It all starts to come together early January, and then it's so I actually booked the band for it though back in I think I booked the band in May last year. I was talking to the producer, and because it's not a given every year that they're going to have an actual house band. Sometime they might actually go with some other kind of way of, presenting the awards. So, but it has been happening that way for, I think I've been doing it for 15 years or so now, and probably 8 or 10 of those as the musical director. So, the band gets booked. There's accommodation to organise, and then the artists that agree to appear on it. There's charts to write. There's liaison back with artists because they don't necessarily want to do their song exactly the same as the record. So, and then there's usually there's.
Well, we just lost him.
Oh, coming back.
Yeah. Well,
he's in and out. Hope he's not working out of his studio.
He might be
pretty. MD of the Golden Guitars.
Yeah.
MD of the Golden Guitars. Pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Oh,
pretty impressive.
That's what I want to know. It seems like just such a tough gig. All those people.
Yeah.
You got to book them. the band. You got to know what you need, what instruments you need, and then he's writing the charts out for everyone as well. So
what does that mean? Writing the charts out?
So a chart is like the chords, and
arrangement.
Sometimes there might be some notes if there's a solo and the people can read, I guess.
Yeah.
And the arrangement. So you read it, Curly, and it'll be like, okay, the chorus goes here, then we got to go back for another verse, and then it's a tag on the end or whatever. It's just a little notation that tells you to follow along. But I'm sure they rehearse it. I'm sure people just going blind, like I've done before.
I was listening to a guy talk about he was MD for David Bowie at Live Aid, and they had Bowie was making the film. What was that film? Yeah, the one about the goblins and stuff. The Jim Henson film. Anyway, but they could get Bowie for 4 hours a night for 3 days, and so they got the band in, and they pulled together a band who'd never played with Bowie. They did 3 rehearsals. Bowie, they did their arrangements. They got side stage. They're about ready to walk on. Bowie looks at them and goes, "One change. We're going to start with this now, not that." And they've all gone, "Fuck!" but the guy who was the MD, would you believe, was Thomas Dolby.
Oh yeah.
Oh really? Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Bowie's MD.
Blinded me with science.
He'd never played with. He put together the band, put the whole thing together for Bowie inside a few days. Hi, Brendan. How are you, mate?
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Hook the plug with your foot.
Yeah. Technology.
Are you in Brisbane, Brendan? Or?
Yeah, I'm in Brisbane. Yeah, I'm in my little studio. Yeah.
Anyway, so it sounds like a tough gig.
Oh, look, it's. I used to think it was a bit of a tough gig, but then I did a few cruises where we had a different act doing a 90-minute spot every night, and 9 nights of that. So every afternoon you have to get the band together and rehearse the whole repertoire, and then the next night it's someone else's repertoire, and the next night, and so after doing that for a bit, the awards isn't too bad.
Yeah. after how many nights did the repertoire start to run into each other?
No. I mean, you're generally talking our top line Australian artists, and they've got a number of albums each, so it's all their own music, all their own songs, and that's what people come to see. So but the awards is it's very satisfying. And this year we had orchestral country on the Wednesday night as well, so that was a whole other repertoire, and a 32-piece orchestra with a conductor, and I had my 8-piece band that sort of we had to follow that all around and work out who was giving cues to who and when and how, and so it was a kind of combined effort of everyone kind of pitching in. It was a great team. It actually went really well. It was a great show. I think they had the entertainment centre was full for orchestral country, and then it was full for Willow's show on Friday night, and it was full for the awards. So it was a big week.
That'd be one of the biggest foldback gigs in the world.
Foldback gigs. That's one of the things. With the orchestral stuff, they brought a front of house guy in that specialised in orchestras, and he was because you don't get much of a chance with those folks. They come in and they're on a call, so you get one call to do sound checks and rehearsals, and then you get a call and that's the show. So it's pretty full on, but as long as you're organised, it all comes up pretty well. But you have to have people there that know what they're doing, and Chris that was on front of house was amazing. He was fantastic. Pulled a great sound, and so it was actually just a beautiful week, and topped off by walking away with that golden guitar on the Saturday night, which there were a few big names in there, including John Williamson, which I thought John would get it for sure, but I wrote everything on the album. I produced the album, so I directed all the traffic and all of that stuff, and I'm really proud of it, and I've had so many people since.
Overalls, bib and brace, blue collar and a red face, perspiration, hot sun. It's nearly 5 and I'm not nearly done. Well, I've been going all day, not making making much headway. Persistence, dig deep, I get it finished by the end of the week. Getting by is getting tough, making a living, but it's never quite enough. And I'm looking forward to the weekends, 'cause day after Sunday it'll start all over again.
I've marked Do Not Disturb on my phone, so people keep calling me. So every time it bounces me off. So hopefully that'll fix it. Sorry.
That's what a golden guitar does, mate.
In demand.
Oh, yeah. I hope so. Hope they bring their wallets.
Now, before we start about the album, rather iconic that when they called that you as the winner, you were sitting in your place in the band, and there was a look of genuine surprise.
Oh, I had no idea. Yeah, no idea. I don't get to. I mean, I get a bit of an inkling because of people who perform and the order things are done in, but I specifically don't find out who the winners are. So I don't actually know till anyone else hears the announcement, really. You know.
So that kind of leads to the question: Do you prefer to be in the background, or do you prefer to be the man up the front?
Oh, look, I'm more used to being in the background, but I've been a front man, but it's mostly been doing covers.
Yeah.
You know. So I really like being a front man singing my own songs.
Yeah.
But you know, it's not like going and seeing Jimmy Barnes perform. You know, it's that's a whole different experience. I'm kind of more a listening room kind of guy. My songs have stories, and I guess a little bit more like Willow in a way, like more of that kind of audience, I guess. You know, where it's really where you get invested in the songs and then invested in the stories and that kind of thing. You know.
Well, I could make a comparison to Jimmy Barnes with you in the fact that, like, his album "Working Class Man" is about the worker, and there's a lot of these songs in here. I reckon it's a real blokey album, but I don't mean that in a bad way or a misogynist way. It just seems like there's a lot of songs in here, especially towards the end, that are about situations that men find themselves in and how they deal with it. Would you?
Well, yeah. Look, I mean, it's all from my perspective. So
yeah,
I'm a bloke.
That's a good answer.
It's you know, it's all I know.
Yeah.
But
but you sing about things that men don't talk about enough. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I think so, and I guess that was one of the things about, you know, some of those songs I sat on for a while because to be honest, I didn't really know whether they were any good. But it's really amazing the amount of people who come back to me and how it's touched them, you know. And some guys I had a guy, he's a pretty seasoned producer. I did some session work for last week, and he contacted me today and said he was on the way in the car somewhere, and he put my album on, and he said, I'm actually getting quite emotional listening to some of these songs, and you know, so it connects with people. And yeah, I've just had lots of really good feedback, but yeah, it is from my perspective, and they are all. It's not like I've sat down and tried to write an album. The songs came to me when they came to me, and it's just a collection of things that have happened over the years, and then I tried to get it into some sort of order that made sense, and I think I must have pulled that off to an extent.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I love albums. You know, it's a shame, sort of. In this day and age, the beauty, like an album is a story, you know, it takes you on a journey, takes you on an emotional journey, on a musical journey. And I think if you flick through songs and just get bits of this, it's great for instant gratification, but you kind of miss out on something. You know, I love albums. I love from start to finish. Really
me too. I find that's the best way to find out. Sorry, Rossy, to find out about the artist if you listen to the whole thing.
And some of my favourite songs aren't the hits on people's albums. You know, they're
no. I spend a lot of time grappling with exactly the same thing. Like, I've bought millions of albums, and the experience of sitting, unwrapping it, holding the album, sitting there from start to finish is a great thing. But it seems to be lost on young folk now, right? And I was reading from a marketing guy today. He just goes, whether people like it or not, the album is dead, and this whole rant about it. And I'm like going, it's a compelling case. Yeah. I still like it. Yeah.
I don't think it is.
I think it's.
Then again, to be honest, I'm selling CDs at gigs and people are buying them again because there's
CDs
another case that says people like CDs because they can actually have them and they own it. Yeah. If you subscribe to a streaming service, you don't own anything. Even if you buy digital music, you sort of, it's in your computer and it's actually it's not yours really. It's
music
online.
Is a service, not a commodity. That's the difference.
Absolutely,
yeah, it is, and it's like back to the days of the court jester where they just rolled someone in to entertain them for a while and send them away. It's not treating the artist with the respect they deserve, I think.
Yeah, but you also missing out, Rossy, on part of that art, the artwork. You're missing
the art, the packaging, the whole concept, all that stuff is really important part of it. Really is. Yeah. I completely understand that. It's just the way people consume media is different. And it's not just that, it's newspapers have died, television's died. If you remember when you were a kid, if you didn't see the show when it was on, you didn't see it, right? And then VCRs changed that, and then streaming services changed it again. It's just how people's expectations and how they do stuff has really, really changed. So, how do we get that? I don't know. How do you get that experience back?
But Brendan, you were talking about that hook and that instant gratification. You've got that with Start All Over Again. That whole line of "Let's come Sunday and it'll start all," like that's a really nice little hook. But I do have to ask the question: is there a chorus in that song, or does it just roll to the hook?
No, that's a different way of writing for me because I am a bit of a verse, chorus, bridge, or verse, chorus, solo, bridge, chorus out, or I kind of like that bit of structure. But I'm interested in. There's different songs on there that are kind of nods to. Writers that I really love, on my first album, Snow was probably to an extent a nod to James Taylor because there's similarities with things, and there's similarities in Float Along the Water on this album. There's things like in Flying Blind. That's a nod to now blank Jimmy Webb. So all those songs with Glenn Campbell and. MacArthur Park and Up and Away, and so there's sort of nods to different people on there in a way, just in terms of songwriting style. But there's some interesting stories about songs, like Silver Threads and Golden Needles. Did you know there's a second verse?
No,
there is a second verse, but you don't hear it on the recording because they tossed it out at the recording because they said it didn't need it. So in those days, it went in with radio and it fell in with the way that commercials were run between songs, and I think it's about 2 minutes 20, and the producer decided it didn't need the second verse, but it has one. Interesting stuff.
You've done your homework.
So Brendan, you said you said on the songs for a while. I know it's 16 years from 2009 from Snow till now. I know they don't flick the finger anymore. I was lucky enough to listen. You let us listen to that at Lifestyles probably 4 years ago.
Yeah, probably.
How old are some of those other ones on there?
Well, I started recording. There's 4 tracks on there that were band tracked in 2014, okay. And then they just sat because I have a bad habit of listening to myself back and thinking, no, that's rubbish. So, and then I come back to it after a while and think, it's not too bad. I reckon I can do something with that. So, but hopefully it won't happen. Hopefully there'll be another album sooner than this one.
The life of a song.
I'm old now. Imagine if it takes me another 10 years.
Just putting together a body of work that big is pretty hard work, though. And it's considering how personal the stuff is, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and I guess through first-hand experience, I start to think I can see when people put out a cracking album, and I've got some artists that I love that have some of their albums are just. But then to follow that up, because it's like, well, what do you do after that? If you think you've done your best work, then you've got to kind of better it, So, it's interesting. It's interesting, but I'm still loving writing. I actually wrote a song last week that I finished off, and I've got a few that I didn't put on this album that are still potential contenders. They just didn't fit with the content on this one. So I'm loving writing. That song, Something of a Privilege, that wasn't written by me. That was written by Lindsay Waddington. But Watto and I are doing a bunch of writing together. And I'm still writing with Brad Butcher. We've got one out called Picture Show, which came out in... Was that October last year, I think? And it's still getting a fair bit of streaming action and stuff. So, everything on that album... I did most of the writing. There's a couple of co-writes on there on the album, but mostly it's me. Yeah, and I like to work that way.
You're right about your mate who said it was emotional. I think Disappear from View, I can really hear the emotion in your voice when you sang that one.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, that was inspired, I guess, by a friend of mine that I was in a band with, and he left us in pretty tragic circumstances. But also, the fellow that recorded those first 4 tracks back in 2014, he took his own life in 2019. So that's the background of that song. It's like, well, hang on, I didn't see this coming. I thought there was a whole bunch of stuff that was, you just assume that,
There's still so much to do.
So, yeah.
Funny how different becomes normal, how new becomes habitual. We assume the way it is the way it's always going to be, and tomorrow will be better, just you wait and see. It's funny that we don't seem to notice how time just quietly slips away. We seem to spend our lives just being busy, while the things that really matter get left for another day. I thought there were places we still had to go, and you told me you had things still left to do. But I guess at that moment there was something much more pressing, something suffocating, something that made everything good disappear from view.
Yeah. And as we get to our age that we are, you start to lose more and more. I spoke to my wife's father. He just had his 90th birthday, and we said, who's going to come? He goes, I don't know. Well, most of my friends are dead.
Well, yeah.
So,
but I just reckon, I've got to, God willing, touch wood, I've got a bit of a philosophy on, keeping yourself well, looking after yourself, being kind to yourself. There's a lot of reasons to hang around. I mean, you can find reasons not to, but gee, there's a lot of reasons to hang around. I mean, I've got 7 children, 17 grandchildren. That's a pretty good reason to hang around. And I haven't been anywhere near enough places in that lifestyle caravan yet, Stu.
Yeah.
So I've got places to
go. Very good.
Yeah. And I've got songs to write. Stu, I don't know if I told you fellas this, but I've worked a full-time job most of my working life, and I gave that away in July to 2024. So I'm 19 months into being a full-time musician, writer, producer. I got shit to do. I got stuff to do.
So Brendan, do you still have to start all over again? Because obviously that song's about the working guy who has to get up and do it every day. But I guess it's not as much of a chore, though, is it?
Well, it is and it isn't. It's interesting. It's interesting when you're used to having to get in a car and drive into an office, and and you've got people basically setting your daily schedule for you, and then all of a sudden you wake up and think, well, if I decide to lay in bed all day, no one's going to really chastise me for that. So you sort of have to be a bit of a self-starter. You have to find,
absolutely.
Easy to get out of bed.
Yeah. You have to cheat.
Absolutely. Yeah. But it's getting started. It's getting started. Once you start, it's good. Turning up.
So more music.
80% of success, turning up.
Yeah.
Hey, Brendan, you spoke before about the kids. I know you had 2 of the boys. singing, backing you on two of your songs.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
when
I
I was
love
lucky
that.
enough to come and hear you a couple of weeks ago or months ago when you played one night to launch it, tell us what it's like having your kids in there as well.
Oh, I love it. I love having the boys there. I had one of my daughters sing on the first record. Yeah, I just had the two boys. We had a bunch of fun in here. They sang on two of the tracks, and one of the lads, my eldest lad, he taught himself guitar and he played in bands when he was sort of left school and for a few years. Actually, he doesn't anymore, but he still likes it. And actually, both my lads surprised me with their musical taste because it's like anything that's musical, they love. They're not stuck on a particular genre. But the youngest bloke, he hadn't sung before as such. I just heard him sing, but he'd never done a gig or anything like that. He's not a musician. But I just said, mate, you'll have this, you'll have this covered. And they came in and I told them what to sing and we just did it. It worked out great. Yeah, it sounded great.
Yeah, sure did.
And they're excited to be part of it, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It really is.
I've got a couple of songs that I really like on the album, and I like When We Were Done as the final song. Has just got that. It definitely deserves that spot as the final song on the album. It just closes it off really, really well. But Stewie was sharing a little bit of a story about Carol's favourite song. Carol is Little Stu. But Oblivious, and there's a bit of a story behind where that came from. So, do you want to share that?
The original idea of it came during a songwriters. We were doing me and a mate of mine, Brad Butcher. We were doing a songwriting session once a month in Brisbane over at the Charming Squire, and we'd try and turn up with a song each, and at least one new song every month each. And I was. Anyway, this particular night, we're songwriters and singers, and we're on stage, and we're, wearing our hearts in our sleeve, and we're, pouring out all our lyrics and things. Well, the front two tables, there was a bunch of fellas there. I'm sure they were on a bucks party, and we got this little acoustic singer-songwriter night going. They had no idea what we were on about. They couldn't even hear us. We couldn't hear us. They were rowdy. They'd been there long before we arrived. Thankfully, they wandered off halfway through the night, but they were high stepping. They were having a good time. And I just turned to Brad on stage and said, "These blokes are oblivious to what we're doing." And then I got thinking. I thought, I wonder if I could write a song called "Oblivious," because that'd be a bit of a challenge, like getting something to rhyme with orange, So I did. So the next time, the next month, I turned up with this song. I don't know where it came from, but. And that was kind of part of the lyrics kind of refer to that, being in a bar and someone singing and no one listening, and everyone's sitting there checking their phones out, but it comes from looking around and seeing things happen. It's real life experience like all the other songs, really.
Speaking of rhyming things with orange, like rhyming "Good Morning" with Bar Calden, and last night they were partying. It's pretty fucking good.
They're called false rhymes. They're legal in songwriting.
I love it.
Well, you don't have to write. You don't have to rhyme everything. And I mean, I don't know if I mean, you listen to John Williamson songs. He actually intentionally doesn't rhyme certain things. And you can. It's interesting what you can get away with when you write, as long as you bring people back. You can sort of. Yeah, it's interesting, and I love all that stuff. I love. It's part of the creative process, but yeah.
I love the poetry and lyrics and the way things.
Bar Calden rhymes with partying.
Yeah, I know. That's awesome. That's fantastic. Okay, we talked about John Williamson, and obviously you're a massive fan. And he had a little bit of controversy when he said, I think he said that he thought that the American influence was creeping in too much into the music, and you got the golden stuff for traditional things. So what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, look, it depends on the musical genre, but for myself, I mean, hopefully you can notice when you listen to the album that I don't think I get as far into that Australian accent as Willow does, or Sarah Storer, or even Missy Higgins, you know. But I think my accent is Australian.
Absolutely.
At least pretty neutral, you know. And I do cringe a bit when I hear some things that Australians do that sing Australian stories, but they don't sound Australian when they sing, you know. And even more so if you're writing to an Australian audience, but you're talking about pickup trucks and, you know, and just like content-wise, I just think as a writer, it just depends on what you're. I mean, I'm not knocking anybody, but just for me, I'm gonna vet that stuff out, because that's not going to be in what I, you know, if I'm writing something. And I haven't always been like that, but just I find as I get older, I just think it's more real for me, you know, that I kind of think, well, no, actually, I'm writing a story about something in Australia. I'm an Australian writer. I like to use Australian players as much as I can, and they are all Aussie players on the record. Well, Australian, New Zealand, but
same thing.
Oh no, not New Zealand.
Well, it's careful. Only if it's successful from New Zealand.
Yes, they're good. They're ours. Yeah.
Come on. We've had these conversations before.
That's right. That's right.
No,
but that makes sense for every genre, I reckon.
Well, it just depends kind of what you're doing, you know. And it, you know, I mean, there's people, there's a few young people getting around that are they're really successful, you know. Australian audiences are loving it, but you know, you're talking about fried chicken and talking about pickup trucks, and you know, it's like that's not Australian life. It's, you know, so for me, it just sort of doesn't work. But you know, I'm not knocking anybody for it though, because I think you know, there's some great music out there that people really love, and they show that they love it by streaming the hell out of it and turning up at concerts in their droves. So who am I, you know? But that's me, you know. That's my thing. Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned Working Class Man earlier, Braggy, because that was when Barnes went over and did it all with Americans.
He did, but he wrote about Australian stuff, didn't he?
But I don't think he wrote that though. He didn't write that.
It's okay, but it's okay to write about American stuff if you've been there and you're touring around America. And
well, it depends.
I think a lot of
songs are going to come
if you're immersed in it, of course.
Yeah,
but I mean, there's songs that have been written about visiting as well, you know. You know, and that's cool too. And there's also Aussies that go and they live in America and they actually earn most of their money working and playing over there. So obviously that's where you've got to go. But just my thing at the minute. I mean, you know, maybe one day I'll record a bluegrass album, and I may well go to Nashville and get all those guys because they invented it, you know.
Absolutely.
But there's one thing for sure: no one does a bush ballad. No one but Australians do Australian bush ballads or Australian ballads. You know, they're quite a unique musical form, and they have, you know, they talk about Australian stories, and they can, you know, I think the way that things are played, the instrumentation stuff is sort of morphing a little bit. It's not necessarily just the old sort of pick strum guitar anymore, but there's still Australian stories, you know. And there's something very unique.
Back to banjo and CJ Dennis and.
Well, I think it's about the stories.
Well, I think there's Australian instrumentation with acoustic instruments. When you listen to it, you can actually hear the Australianness in some of that playing. A lot of the country stuff I listen to, you can hear the Australian playing, right?
I've heard people say that Aussies play, and I've actually heard Americans say that Aussies play things differently. You know,
I think that's right.
And I think that probably comes from where we grow up and our influences locally. And I mean, even the popular music that I grew up with, you know, talking about Barnesy and Chisel and, you know, those influences. I mean, they were influenced by, and bush music, you know, and Slim Dusty and Gordon Parsons, my dad loved. So all of those sort of influences in a melting pot, you know, it's a different thing to if you grew up in the Netherlands or if you grew up in Japan or you know what I mean? Like it's its own thing. So naturally we have a thing. We do.
I was hearing some Scandinavian 60s Scandinavian pop music. And it's really like I was watching all this stuff about like the 1960s and like the Shocking Blue and all those sort of bands, and you can actually hear the Scandinavian nature of what they're doing. You know, you can actually hear where they come from in what they're playing, and it's the accent. Like Australians, like I remember we used to watch Pot of Gold, which was a TV every day that had a talent show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am. And Bernard King every day. Any kid who came on and sang with an American accent, he would pillory them. He'd sit there and go, "Yeah, what are you doing?" Saying, "Wah wah wah." You're an Australian. Sing like one. And I like that. You know?
Yeah.
It's always stayed with me.
There's that great story, Rossy, of Leonard and McCartney finishing off She Loves You and playing it to Paul's dad. And he said, I don't think you should be doing the yeahs. It's a bit American.
Yes.
Yes, yeah. Somehow I think they dodged the bullet with that one. Hey, quick question, Brendan. I'm not a country music tragic. Fella said beside me is. And I guess Rossy and Braggy are becoming more and more attuned into country influences. But we've got all these little genre breakdowns, and we had a bit of a I've forgotten who it was. Was it Copperline Braggy when they came on as an alt country artist? And we all sort of figured that alt country was actually country, because if Johnny Cash was around today, he'd probably be called alt country. So what's the difference between alt country and traditional country?
Well, in you're getting in, I guess, if you're talking about the Tamworth, like the Golden Guitar Awards, there's specific definitions around that. Alt country, I mean, I don't really want to talk too much to it without having the definition in front of me, but everyone has an idea, and it's not necessarily that everyone has the same idea, but traditional country, I think, has morphed quite a bit from where it might have been 20 years ago. People might have thought 20, 30 years ago that things that Slim and Tex Morton and, Buddy Williams and those sort of guys, that would have been traditional. And, anything that in those days that maybe that the younger people were coming up with, like your James Blundells and your Lee Kernigans and your Gina Jeffreys and your Keith Urbans, that stuff would be kind of contemporary. But that's kind of changed a little now, because I think, stuff that sounds like country from the 90s is now kind of considered traditional country, because there's a couple of tracks on my record that sound a bit like that,
We got, I was going to say, sorry, Infidelity is kind
of
different.
Well, it's more a bluesy kind of track,
Yeah,
so,
different chord thing.
And as far as the alt country, it's country influences, and I think they kind of, sometimes people might refer to that as Americana, perhaps. So you're getting into, and some of them are older songwriters, but you're getting into some of those more singer-songwriter type people, Townes Van Zandt and Steve Earle and that kind of vibe of stuff. But in the current kind of more current sort of
even Tom Petty,
genre, if you like. So it's just it's hard. I always find it hard categorizing stuff, because it's all music to me. I just know what I like, and I mean, there's certain things that you would call, you might have called it folk in the past, and now it might be thought of as country,
or roots.
Roots, yeah. But roots and blues, I mean, is it blues? R&B, they used to call rhythm and blues, but R&B now is almost like hip hop in some people's minds. So just you get into trouble, but it's great writing and great playing, great production. I mean, it's just about how you market it. I think it's really all about.
Braggy, isn't your mate Post Malone flirting with alt country?
I don't know. I guess so. Yeah. It just seems like they jump on there. Didn't Beyonce flirt with alt country?
Yeah.
Well,
that didn't work. That didn't work too well.
Whether that was country at all.
No, I know.
Yeah.
Sometimes, Brendan, we've been describing, especially some of the artists we've had on from around the north of Western Australia. They seem to have a different sound, like the Teskey brothers, but and we've been wanting to call it Australiana, as in like Americana, but like you said, the name don't matter. Once it's good.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of do matter if you're trying to market stuff.
Yeah, okay.
You're trying to, but it's hard. It's hard. But I've tried to. I mean, I actually had to look at the rules before I put my nomination in for the album, because I actually wasn't even sure where I was going to put it, but then I read the rules and thought, oh, well, really, it probably fits in trad.
Okay.
So that's where it went. Yeah, for the awards. But yeah, but then I look at the Queensland Music Industry Awards, which I've actually entered. I don't know if I'll get any luck there, but that's a completely different kind of vibe because they don't have the focus on country. They're looking at music holistically. So it's like country and folk and blues, and so yeah, it's interesting.
But if they don't give you one, you just show them your golden guitar and say, well.
Nice to work like that. Yeah.
Was it that producer who did Wolf Whistle Wounds, Jeff Lovejoy, who are at his place and he's got like a silver aria and he's got it in his toilet, as people are. And we're there with Mazawak, and we said, "You go, Mazawak, take it up, get a photo." He goes, "I only touch gold ones."
That's a bit nasty.
Very good.
Over to you, Stu.
Oh, I've got much. I think we've covered everything. So, the only one thing I did mention, Brendan, I noticed that you finally got your own full festival show on Friday night.
Saturday, the first Saturday. Yeah.
How'd that go?
That was actually nice to do. Yeah, it was really nice. And I I actually sold a bunch of merch that day. There was a whole bunch of people bought CDs and T-shirts.
That's what you want.
Derby coolers and I was able to pay the band and I had a little bit left over to stick in my own pocket. That was really nice.
Wow. Good.
Yeah, no, it was a good day. We had a really good roll up. And West Leagues in Tamworth, the West Entertainment Group, they were really supportive. They looked after us, and people just came out and they had a good time. It was great. Yeah, it was really, and it was it was straight after the opening concert. So I did 3 songs on the opening concert on the Friday night, and then my first Tamworth gig was my own gig on Saturday afternoon. So it was a really great way to start the festival this year.
So you rip off the guitar, run to the merch desk.
Yeah.
Start posting on social media. Everything that a musician has to do nowadays.
Well, yeah, there's a lot to do. Yeah, I realised today I hadn't updated my webpage, so I went and updated the front page today. Yeah, to do all that stuff. Yeah, I don't really have people to do that for me. Although I've had a couple of people volunteer since the award to say that maybe I need a bit more help. They'd be right.
Oh, mate.
Yeah.
Mate, sole trader, everything, and your own producer, your songwriter. Do you ever get any sleep?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I do like my sleep, but I could use a bit more. But we all could, you know.
That's right.
Yeah,
we all
absolutely. Could. So, what does 2026 look like for you, Brendan?
My studio is getting a little busier, so I've got a few clients in here doing things for them, and I have a fairly solid roster of stuff for a couple of other studios locally. So, hello, here's my pup. Hey, come on, come up here and say hello. There you are. You just had a haircut. So you're finery, aren't you? Say hello. Yes, hello. Here you go. Hop down there. Off you go, studio hound. And I've got quite a few gigs starting to pop up in the calendar. And the Golden Guitars help that. There's a few people that have called me this week that have been keen to. So a few festivals. I can't say too much about that now because we're sort of in talks. But yeah, there'll be a few festival appearances around the country, and a bit more writing. And so that's the year's kind of. And I am still touring with John Williamson. So although he's done his last little thing in his last big show in Tamworth. We've still got a few things on, one of which is the State Theatre in Sydney this Saturday night. So,
lovely room.
So there's a few they're usually pretty big shows. And so there's at least half a dozen, 7 or 8 of those in the first half of this year. So yeah, that's kind of what the year's looking like. It's pretty good. I'm pretty excited about it.
That's good. Sounds like it's all.
That's great.
Systems going. So let's wind her up. So do you have one favorite social media platform, or do you hate them all equally?
Oh, look, you'll see me. I have a website, so if you just search for Brendan Radford, you'll find my website, and all my merch and stuff's available on there. The CD as well. But there's Facebook posts. Probably not quite as frequently as they need to be, but yeah, Facebook and Instagram is my thing. I'm not a TikTok person. what's the other one called? I can't remember. Twitter, whatever that's called these days. I've never used that. Yeah, I'm Facebook and Instagram is me.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
And then just one out of left field, and I only just thought of it. Out of all the young emerging talent that's coming through in the country scene, who should viewers keep an eye on?
Oh, well, I think you should just. I think that it's worth supporting almost everyone you see come through because they're new. There's Felicity Kircher. She's a local girl who's been touring with Casey Chambers and won the Star Maker in Tamworth last year. There's that young fella that's just won it this year. He was on Farmer Wants a Wife, I think.
Yeah.
He seems a bit of a go-getter. Jared Wrigley. James Johnston got maybe not quite so young, but he got the top-selling album this year. And James is, as we all do, as we do more and more of this, we get better at it. And I think he's really developed as a songwriter, and he's really putting some great stuff out. There's lots of people. I really love the guy William Alexander who won the Bush Ballad this year because I just think he's got such a unique voice, and he's only a young fella actually. He's only in his 20s, Will, but he's got a bit of a lived experience, and he's genuinely sort of off the land. He's had a lot to do with horses and that, so he's got some interesting stories to share. There's a bunch. There's a bunch. Yeah, get amongst it. Have a listen. Give it a try.
Exciting time. We were talking before the likes of Robbie Mortimer's playing CMC this year. Tyler Rodriguez is over there. Brittany
Tyler's on the award. Tyler's great. Yeah.
She's amazing. Brittany Elise now lives in Nashville, so there's so much talent coming out of Australia. It's an exciting time. So. And they don't make it until they come on our show.
That's right.
And Brendan,
if you appear twice, don't you end up on the Hall of Fame?
Yep. I was just about to do that, Rossy. So now that you've been a second guest, a repeat guest, you now join the Unfiltered and Undiscovered Hall of Fame. So congratulations.
Oh, wow.
Hey.
I don't know whether that's in relation to Golden Guitar or Unfiltered Hall of Fame, but it has been awesome speaking with you again, Brendan. It's your experiences, and I guess now that you're officially retired from the 9 to 5, life becomes very exciting for you. So you can be that full time day. So all right. Our next week we have a double episode. We've got a rather unconventional artist from Nashville called Jonah Kraut. He does not write 3-minute songs. They are 6-minute. I think he's even got a 10-minute song. So we're talking with him this week. And we've also then, Rossy, we've got Star Crazy next Wednesday night to talk to. So young band from Sydney, really looking forward to that one. So if you've loved what you heard, hit follow, share the show, dig deeper on the Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, Amazon Music playlists that we have out there. Brendan's music will be added to our Unfiltered and Undiscovered every damn song playlist. More artists, more stories, more reasons to listen. This is Unfiltered and Undiscovered. Thanks so much, Brendan. It's been great talking with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on again.
Cold beer, hot air, sitting here on a tall chair. Nothing important going on today. Sitting with some new friends, we're solving the world's problems. It's so good to be oblivious. Well, somebody's singing, but my ears keep ringing with the sound of your voice echoing in my head. Nowhere to be, keeping myself company. It's so good to be oblivious.
Well, that's a wrap for this episode of the Unfiltered and Undiscovered podcast. If you've liked what you've heard, please do us a favor. Hit follow, leave a rating, and share it with a mate who needs some new music and a little bit of laughter in their lives. We're all about discovering the songs that actually mean something. So if you're into raw talent, great stories, and music that hits you right in the guts, you're in the right place, and we'd love to see you back again next week. Don't forget our Spotify playlists. Every damn song, every track we've ever talked about, rising female country artists, and undiscovered covers. And just now, they're not just available on Spotify. You'll also find them on YouTube Music and Apple Music as well. Now, we will be back next week with more music, more stories, and probably some more arguments. But that's what keeps us unfiltered. We'll see you next week.